Money doesn't disappear, it only changes hands and always moves toward those who know how to hold its energy. That thing you call money is not paper, it's not coins, it's not numbers on a screen, it's living energy. It's an invisible field that responds to what you vibrate when no one is watching. That's why there are those who work hard and achieve nothing, and there are others who, without explaining it, attract opportunities, allies, and resources as if they were magnets. A sorcerer is not one who lights candles or repeats spells. A sorcerer is someone who understands what others ignore, that money has memory, has sensitivity, and never stays in a broken, anxious, or desperate field. This audiobook is not about financial strategies or methods to earn more. It's a journey toward mastery of the invisible frequency where money feels at home. Because money doesn't follow those who chase it most, it follows those who vibrate as if they already had it. And if you listen to the end, you'll discover something no one told you, that wealth was never a goal, but a mirror of your coherence. And when you learn to master your internal energy, money won't be able to avoid following you. Get ready, because what you're about to hear is not theory. It's the hidden map that separates those who always lose from those whom money never abandons. Money doesn't follow the strongest, nor the most intelligent, nor even those who work the most hours. Money follows the field, the silent vibration you emit when no one is watching you. You can repeat 100 times a day, "I want to be rich." You can write affirmations on mirrors. You can pray for abundance to come. But if your internal field screams fear, guilt, tension, or scarcity, that's the real order that money obeys. The sorcerer who masters money's energy understands this uncomfortable truth. It doesn't matter what you say with your mouth. What matters is what you hold in your deepest vibration. That vibration that activates when you pay a bill, when you look at your balance, when you receive a bill in your hands. Some time ago, I met a man who constantly complained about his bad luck. He said, "I work twice as much as everyone, and it's never enough." I observed him and realized something. Every time he talked about money, his body shrank. Every time he charged for his work, he apologized, and every time he had to pay, he sighed with rage. What do you think his field was communicating? Exactly. Rejection, lack, fear, and money, as living energy, simply responded by moving away. Money doesn't understand excuses, it doesn't respond to need, it responds to vibrational coherence. That's why there are those who seem to have inexplicable luck. It's not luck, it's field. It's aligned vibration. It's a body, a mind, and a heart that don't contradict each other. Science confirms it. Bruce Lipton, pioneer in cellular biology, demonstrated that cells don't respond directly to the physical environment, but to the perception we have of that environment. In other words, we don't react to what happens, we react to what we believe happens. And if we believe that money is scarce, dangerous, or impossible to hold, our entire field aligns with that belief, and money obediently disappears. The sorcerer doesn't need to force wealth. They hold it from within because they know that money doesn't arrive by chance. It arrives because the field is ordered. Think of someone you know who attracts abundance naturally. They don't talk about money all day. They don't run after it. They simply hold a presence in which money feels comfortable. It's not that they don't have problems, it's that their energy isn't broken inside. That's the first law. Money doesn't follow effort, it follows the field. And that field isn't built with desperation, nor with obsession, nor with envy. It's built with presence, with coherence, with that silent certainty that wealth doesn't define you, but you don't lack it either. Today you can begin to train your field with something very simple. Every time you touch money, stop for a second, breathe deeply, and instead of thinking, "It's leaving," think, "This energy circulates and returns multiplied." Don't say it as an empty phrase, feel it. Visualize how it flows, because every daily gesture is training for your field. The sorcerer who masters money's energy is not one who never had lack, but one who learned to hold a field strong enough for money to stay. And now that you know this first law, you're ready to discover the second. Because even if you manage to attract money, there's something that can block it before it arrives, the lack of space. And money never enters a saturated field. Wealth doesn't arrive like a stroke of luck. It arrives like a pulse, an invisible beat that crosses your field and marks the rhythm of your prosperity. That pulse is everywhere, in the movement of the market, in the energy of your thoughts, in the way your heart beats when you talk about money. And although you don't notice it, money listens to that pulse, recognizes it, and decides whether to approach or move away according to the music you emit. Most people live disconnected from that pulse. They believe that wealth is only the result of mathematics, strategies, hard work, but they ignore that before any transaction there's a vibration that orders or blocks the entry of money. Let me tell you a story. A woman came to see me a few years ago. She had a promising business, a great idea, and all the will to make it work. But nothing flowed. It was as if every time something was about to take off, something would collapse. I listened to her speak and I understood. Every sentence was full of tension. I'm afraid I won't be able to pay. What if all this fails? What if the money doesn't come? Her pulse vibrated in fear, in distrust, in misalignment, and money, as living energy, simply responded by moving away, just as a wild animal flees when it perceives danger. The sorcerer who masters money's energy knows how to read that pulse. They listen to it even in their silence. If their breathing is agitated, if their body is tense, if their mind is full of urgencies, they know they're sending the wrong signal, and then they stop, breathe, adjust, because they understand that before moving money outside, they have to synchronize with the internal beat of abundance. Modern physics is beginning to say what the ancients knew. Everything is vibration. Nikola Tesla expressed it without detours. If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Money doesn't escape this law. It's not simple paper, it's slowed vibration, and like everything that vibrates responds to compatible frequencies. A sorcerer doesn't need to chase money. They become the field that beats at the same frequency, and that's why money arrives, because it recognizes it as a safe, harmonic, coherent space. Imagine for a moment your life is an orchestra. Every thought is an instrument, every emotion is a rhythm, every action is a note. If each one plays out of time, the result is chaos. But when they all align in a harmonic melody, the pulse flows and money feels attracted, just as the ear feels attracted to well-executed music. Today, I want to leave you with a simple practice. Listen to your internal pulse every time you think about money. Does it accelerate with fear? Does it turn off with resignation, or does it beat calmly, with confidence, with positive expectation? That will be the key to your magnetism. You don't need to control every thought. You only need to tune your frequency like a musician tunes their instrument before a concert. Because money, believe me, doesn't respond to force, it responds to rhythm. And when your rhythm is correct, when your field vibrates in confidence and abundance, you don't have to go looking for it. It comes on its own. Now that you understand the invisible pulse of wealth, you're ready for an even deeper truth. Money doesn't only respond to rhythm, it responds to the value you give yourself, and that's the most powerful alchemy of all. Money never arrives to those who need it most. It arrives to those who can hold it without breaking. And that capacity doesn't depend on your studies, nor on your last name, nor on external circumstances. It depends on the value you give yourself in silence. This is the deepest alchemy. Money reflects what you believe you deserve. If internally you feel you're not worth enough, your field emits that signal, and money recognizes it. Then it resists. It slips away. It disappears. Because money doesn't stay in a place where the vibration says, "I'm not worthy of having you." I'll tell you something I experienced. I knew a talented young man, a brilliant artist. His works were impactful, but he charged so little that people began to doubt his quality. "They don't pay me more because my art isn't known," he said. But the truth was different. He didn't recognize his own value. His low prices were a way of telling the world, this isn't that important. What happened? His business never took off. When he understood it and began to value his work, something magical happened. Clients appeared because money always follows those who hold value firmly, not those who beg for it with fear. Joseph Murphy summarized it clearly in The Power of the Subconscious Mind. You cannot receive what you internally reject. And that's exactly what happens when you say you want prosperity, but inside you vibrate with guilt, insecurity, or fear of making others uncomfortable with your abundance. Your vibration is sabotaging your desire. The sorcerer who masters money's energy doesn't apologize for prospering, doesn't justify what they charge, doesn't lower their head when receiving, because they know that true value doesn't depend on what others think, but on what they hold in their internal field. Think about the difference between two people who do the same work. One charges with fear, almost apologizing. The other charges with serenity, looking into the eyes, transmitting certainty. Who will money respect more? In whom will abundance trust more? Exactly. Because money doesn't listen to your words, it listens to the vibration with which you value yourself. The alchemy of internal value consists of transforming your self-image, stopping being a slave to doubt and becoming a source of certainty. Because when you stop vibrating in lack and begin to hold your own value, not only do your finances change, your entire life changes. People treat you differently, opportunities appear, money feels comfortable with you. Today I invite you to do an exercise. Observe how you feel when charging, when receiving, when pricing your time or your work. Do you do it from guilt, from insecurity, or from the certainty that what you give has value? If you still feel discomfort, begin to train yourself with something simple. Every time you receive money, large or small, say internally, "I am worthy of this and more." It's not arrogance, it's vibrational coherence, because wealth was never a matter of luck. It was always a matter of value, and the first value you must hold is your own. And now that you understand this alchemy, you're ready to discover another secret that few understand: silence. Because sometimes it's not what you say that attracts money, but what you keep quiet. Money doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives in the deepest silence. That silence that the sorcerer knows how to hold while the rest of the world screams, runs, and despairs. We live in an era where everyone wants to talk, show, explain, justify. But money isn't attracted to noise, it's attracted to calm. Because in the midst of chaos, calm is power. I remember a businessman I met at a meeting. Everyone was talking anxiously, trying to convince, to impress, to stand out. He, on the other hand, listened in silence. He only observed, breathed, and when he opened his mouth, he said few words, but each one loaded with weight. In the end, who did the investors approach? Him. Not because he shouted louder, but because he transmitted the frequency of someone who doesn't need to prove anything. That's the magnetism of silence. The sorcerer who masters money's energy knows that they don't have to convince the universe, nor the market, nor people. They know that when their field is ordered, their mere presence emits a signal that opens invisible doors. That's why they don't despair, they don't beg, they don't wear themselves out excessively. They keep silent, because they know that in that silence, money finds security. Science also backs this up. Studies in neuroscience have shown that the human brain trusts more in those who transmit calm than in those who transmit urgency. Calm is perceived as mastery, as certainty, as power. What does money do then? It approaches those who vibrate at that frequency. Think about this. When you feel desperate and talk about money from need, your vibration screams, "I don't have," and money responds by moving away. But when you learn to hold silence, when you can wait without anxiety, when you can be quiet and trust, your vibration says, "I'm secure." And money responds by approaching. Silence is not absence of action. Silence is a vibrational action. It's the space where your energy reorganizes, where your field strengthens, where money finds a place to enter. Today you can start with something simple. Every time you feel anxiety about money, don't run to look for immediate solutions. Do the opposite. Sit in silence. Breathe. Listen to your own field. Don't try to fix anything. Just hold calm. That practice repeated over and over turns you into a sorcerer of money, because calm is a magnet and noise is a repellent. Money doesn't seek noise, it seeks order, and order begins in silence. Now that you understand this, you're ready to learn one of the most powerful laws, that money is not only attracted, it's also planted, and every gesture of yours is a seed that will bear fruit. Money is not only attracted, it's planted. And every sorcerer who masters money's energy knows it. Every gesture, every word, every emotion is a seed thrown into the invisible field. Most people believe that planting is only giving money, but real planting is more subtle, deeper, because every time you're grateful, you're planting. Every time you bless what you give, you're planting. Every time you treat money with respect, even if it's little, you're planting, and every seed vibrates, every seed responds, every seed returns, multiplied. I remember a man who, despite having modest income, always separated part of his money to give. He didn't do it with fear. He didn't do it out of obligation. He did it with joy. He said, "If I trust that life is abundant, how am I not going to share?" Years later, his business expanded in a way that seemed inexplicable. But for those who understand the law of planting, it wasn't coincidence, it was consequence. The rich sorcerer understands that they cannot harvest where they didn't plant, and also understands that it's not about quantity, but about energy. You can plant 1,000 coins from fear and nothing will happen, but you can plant a single coin from trust and that seed will be gold, because what multiplies is not the object, it's the vibration with which you deliver it. Quantum physics explains that every action leaves traces in the field. Nothing is lost, nothing remains without resonance. That's why, when you give with gratitude, your field becomes impregnated with that vibration and life responds in coherence. It's like an echo. What you throw out returns but multiplied. Ask yourself, how are you planting today? From fear of losing, from obligation, or from the certainty that life always returns what you deliver? The money sorcerer turns every payment into planting. They pay with calm, blessing the one who receives. They give with joy, without fear of being left with nothing. They share with respect, knowing that the seed never dies. It only transforms and returns multiplied. Try it. The next time you give money, however small it may be, don't see it as loss. Feel it as seed. Declare in silence, "This returns multiplied." Don't say it from desperation, say it from certainty. That's the difference between losing and planting. Because abundance doesn't arrive from nothing, it arrives from the invisible planting you did when no one was watching. And when you least expect it, the field will return it to you multiplied. And now that you understand the art of planting with energy, you're ready for another even more powerful secret, the force of joy. Because money follows authentic pleasure like bees follow honey. Money doesn't follow forced effort, nor constant complaint, nor the attention of those who work until they break. Money follows joy, the vibration of authentic pleasure that feels like honey in the air. Most people were educated in the idea that earning money should hurt. If it doesn't cost, it's not worth it. If you don't sweat, you don't deserve. And so we grew up repeating that prosperity should be suffering, but the truth is different. Joy is a magnet, because when you enjoy what you do, your field lights up, and that energy attracts wealth naturally. I remember a young programmer. For years he worked at jobs he hated. He earned money, yes, but it never lasted. It always seemed to escape until one day he began to develop video games, not for money, but for passion. He spent hours at it, laughing, enthusiastic, creating like a child. The incredible thing is that without looking for it, offers began to arrive, investors, contracts. Money appeared where there was joy, not where there was sacrifice. The sorcerer who masters money's energy knows it. Joy is not a luxury, it's a vibrational signal that money recognizes as home. Because abundance never feels comfortable in a field loaded with suffering. It feels comfortable in a field that vibrates in joy, creativity, expansion. Science also explains it. When you enjoy what you do, your body releases dopamine and endorphins, neurotransmitters that elevate your energy and put you in a state of coherence. In that state, your field becomes magnetic. You make better decisions, you attract better opportunities, and money flows more easily. Look around you. The most prosperous people are not always those who try hardest, but those who most enjoy what they do. Joy is a vibrational accelerator, and that's why the money sorcerer doesn't force themselves to suffer to prosper. On the contrary, they seek joy, they cultivate it, they turn it into their compass. Today, I invite you to review what you do that you really enjoy. What activities make time disappear? Where do you feel expansion instead of tiredness? That's your gold. Don't ignore it, because there is the magnet that money follows inevitably. Try it. The next time you charge for something you enjoy, don't take it as coincidence. Recognize it as confirmation. Money is attracted to your joy, and if you turn your life into a space of enjoyment, you'll see how abundance has no choice but to approach. Because money, like all living energy, seeks warmth, seeks expansion, seeks high vibration, and nothing vibrates higher than true joy. And now that you understand it, you're ready to discover another truth. Your body is not just a vehicle, it's the channel that transmits that energy to the universe. And what it transmits with its posture, with its breathing, with its movement, can open or close the entry of prosperity. Your body speaks even if you say nothing. And what your body says about money weighs more than any affirmation, more than any visualization, more than any intention. Most believe that money responds to words, but money responds first to the energy your body emits. A hunched back, a short breath, a gesture of fear when paying. All of that is a language, and money understands it. I remember a woman who every time she went to pay a bill would frown, clench her jaw, and sigh as if she were losing something irreplaceable. No matter how much she affirmed, "I am abundant," her body said otherwise. The result, money moved away because money never stays in a field that rejects it. The sorcerer who masters money's energy knows that their body is a channel. They walk upright, breathe deeply, move with calm, not because they're faking confidence, but because their body is aligned with a vibration of sufficiency, and that alignment is magnetic. Neuroscience has demonstrated it. Amy Cuddy, researcher at Harvard, proved that maintaining power postures for only 2 minutes increases testosterone, the confidence hormone, and reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. That is, your body can train your mind and your field to vibrate in abundance. You don't need to wait to feel prosperous. You can use your body to send the signal before. Think of someone who enters a room with presence. They don't need to speak. Everyone notices. That presence doesn't come from clothes or from the money they already have. It comes from the field their body transmits. Money, just like people, is attracted to that vibration of security. Try it right now. Put your back straight, open your chest, breathe deeply 3 times, and then think about money. Do you notice the difference? It's as if suddenly your field had more space, more strength, more openness. That's turning your body into a channel of prosperity. The rich sorcerer doesn't move like one who begs. They move like one who already has, not because they're deceiving anyone, but because they know that the body is an amplifier of vibration. When their body is open, their field is open. And when their field is open, money flows. That's why today I want to leave you with a simple key. Take care of your body like you take care of your account. Breathe calmly when you pay. Smile when receiving. Walk like one who trusts, because every gesture is a silent decree, and money always responds to that decree. Now that you understand that your body is a channel of prosperity, you're ready for the next secret, learning to truly let go. Because if your body and mind cling with fear, money feels trapped and leaves. But when you learn to let go, the flow becomes inevitable. Money is like water. Try to take it with a clenched hand and it escapes between your fingers, but if you open your palm, it flows, runs, refreshes, and even returns multiplied. Most confuse letting go with giving up. They believe that letting go is abandoning desire, letting it die. But no, letting go is not giving up. Letting go is stopping holding it from tension. It's trusting that the planted seed already knows how to grow. I knew a man who lived repeating abundance affirmations, but every day he checked his bank account 10 times, as if by looking at it so much he could force it to grow. His vibration wasn't one of trust, it was one of desperation. And desperation never attracts because it's a signal of lack. The sorcerer who masters money's energy knows that attachment is a form of rejection. Because when you cling, you're telling the field, I don't believe it will return, that's why I retain it with fear. And money, which is living energy, feels suffocated and flees. Quantum physics already hints at it. When you observe a phenomenon with anxiety, you alter its behavior. And in behavioral economics, we know it too. Decisions made from fear generate losses, even when the person has everything in their favor. Why? Because the vibration of excessive control blocks expansion. Look at nature. The tree doesn't watch over every seed that falls. It trusts that the earth will do its thing. The rain doesn't control every drop. It flows. The sun doesn't cling to every ray. It releases it. And yet, life prospers. Why would we believe that with money it's different? Today I invite you to observe how you hold abundance. Do you charge with gratitude or with fear that it won't return? Do you pay confidently or with the anguish that it's running out? Do you thank what arrives or do you lock it in doubt? There's your answer. The rich sorcerer doesn't need to watch over their harvest. They know they already planted. They know their field responds to what it vibrates, not to what it chases. And that's why they let go. They let go of control. They let go of urgency. They let go of the anxiety to verify. Because they understand that letting go is not losing, it's freeing space to receive more. Do a simple experiment. The next time you receive money, don't look at it as if it were the last. Look at it as if it were the first wave of many. Bless it, use it with peace, deliver it with confidence. That signal, repeated over and over, opens a door that no technique can force, because letting go is not neglecting, it's trusting. And that trust is magnetic. Now that you know it, you're ready for the next level, discovering the true secret of magnetism, not the one you repeat with words, but the one you hold with your attention, because where your attention is, there is your creation. Everything you contemplate grows. Everything you consciously ignore weakens. That's one of the most powerful secrets that the sorcerer who masters money's energy never forgets. Most believe that their life is defined by what they do, but it's actually defined by what they look at. Your attention is like a ray of sun. If you put it on a magnifying glass, it burns. If you disperse it, it barely warms. The same happens with your energy. If your attention is divided into 1,000 distractions, your power dissolves. But if you focus it, the entire universe responds. The ancient mystics understood it, quantum physics demonstrated it, and neuroscience studies confirmed it. That which you pay attention to changes its behavior. It's the famous observer effect. Looking with intention alters matter, and if this occurs with an electron, how would it not occur with your reality? I've seen people spend years desiring prosperity, but every day they gave more attention to their fears. They read news of crisis, they talked about lack, they thought about debts, and although they affirmed, "I am abundant," their attention was planting something else. The result is not surprising. Their field vibrated poverty, and life responded in coherence. The rich sorcerer does something different. They protect their attention like one who protects a flame. They don't allow it to be stolen by empty conversations, nor complaints, nor others' drama. They know that every minute invested in lack is an energetic contract signed, and that every minute invested in expansion is a seed planted in the invisible earth of the field. One day I met a woman who decided to do a radical experiment. For 21 days, every time a thought of economic fear arose, she stopped it and replaced it with a clear image of her abundant life, not to evade, but to train her. Attention! At the end of the process, without looking for it, she received a job proposal that doubled her income. It wasn't coincidence, it was creative attention. Ask yourself now what you think about most of your day. Where is your attention when you wake up? In gratitude or in worry? In opportunities or in problems? That more than any technique determines your vibration. Attention is the most powerful seed you have. Plant fear and you'll harvest limits. Plant gratitude and you'll harvest expansion. Plant internal wealth and external wealth will have no choice but to reflect it. The sorcerer who masters money's energy knows that it's not about working harder, but about focusing cleaner. Because energy follows attention, and where you hold your attention, you hold your destiny. Get ready, because in the next chapter you'll discover the archetype of the rich sorcerer, the vibrational identity that transforms not only what you do, but what you are. And once you embody it, money will no longer be able to ignore you. It's not a myth, it's not an empty metaphor, it's a frequency that is embodied. The rich sorcerer is not someone who plays with tricks or with passing formulas. It's a vibrational identity, a way of walking through life that makes them inevitable, magnetic, unstoppable. The archetype of the rich sorcerer is not measured by what they have, but by what they hold. Not by their bank accounts, but by the invisible coherence they radiate in everything they touch. Because a rich sorcerer knows that their greatest wealth doesn't start in their wallet, it starts in their field. I've seen people who, without seeking fame, without shouting their success, attract allies, opportunities, open doors, and others comment on it with envy or admiration. That person has something. Everything works for them. That something is coherence. Their mind, their emotions, and their body vibrate in the same direction. And when that occurs, the universe has no choice. It responds. The rich sorcerer doesn't need to impress. They don't run after money. It's money that recognizes them, as if it smelled in their field a silent permission that says, it's safe to stay here. And that's why, while others struggle and wear themselves out, they flow and receive. This archetype has clear signals. They walk with calm, but with power. They charge without fear. They pay without tension. They thank without routine. They speak little of abundance, but their energy says it all. They don't need explanations because their presence is their argument, and that presence isn't manufactured, it's trained. Every conscious breath, every daily act loaded with intention, every attention directed with love, forging the identity of the rich sorcerer until it's no longer an effort, it's nature. Look at the modern world. It's full of techniques, courses, quick formulas, and yet most remain trapped in the same cycle of scarcity. Why? Because they never understood that true abundance is not information, it's identity. The rich sorcerer doesn't accumulate methods, they accumulate coherence, and that coherence makes them a living magnet. Today, I want to leave you with this truth. You don't need to wait for money to arrive to be a rich sorcerer. First, you must embody the frequency, act from it, feel it, hold it, and then, inevitably, reality reconfigures, because the archetype is not something you desire, it's something you inhabit. Imagine your life embodying this archetype. You wake up in peace. You activate your field with intention. You walk upright. You breathe confidently. You touch money with respect. You release it with gratitude. You receive it without apologies. Your attention doesn't disperse in fears, but focuses on possibilities. And your field begins to emit something that cannot be bought: certainty. The certainty of someone who knows who they are and what they deserve. That's the rich sorcerer. It's not someone special. It's someone awake. And today, if you're here, if you listen to this point, it's because that archetype is already beating in you. You just have to give it space. So when you leave this audiobook, don't think about complicated techniques. Think about this. What would the rich sorcerer that I already am do? And then do it step by step, gesture by gesture, day by day, until one day others will tell you in a low voice what you always knew. You have something different, it seems like magic, and you'll smile because you'll remember that it wasn't magic, it was coherence. This is the path, this is the beginning. If this message resonated with you and you want to continue discovering the secrets that transform your relationship with abundance, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Leave a comment telling me what you felt, what resonated most with you. Remember, this path is not walked alone. It's walked in community, in tribe, in connection. Subscribe now and let's continue this journey together toward true prosperity.